you! Get the fuck out of here! Shame!
Now, believe it or not, this isn't the border. This is Broadview, Illinois. And that's a mayor in the crowd stepping in front of ICE vehicles as federal agents try to move detainees. Talk about crazies. Now, I have my babies here today, my little niece here today. You might hear them in the background, but you know we already family, so I know y'all don't mind. But when elected officials obstruct law enforcement in the street, it sends a message. And criminals, they hear it loud and clear.
No official word yet on how many individuals were arrested by ICE agents today, but among those taken into custody, according to ICE spokespeople, was a 37-year-old alleged gang member. Among those arrested is Aldo Salazar Bahena, who, according to Homeland Security spokespeople, was convicted of murder in 2005. More recently, prison officials allegedly refusing to honor an ICE detainer request. Bahena released from Stateville prison just 4 days ago, according to ICE, before agents arrested him yesterday in Elgin. ICE also posting details on the arrest of this man. His criminal history said to include arrests for DUI, resisting a police officer, and vehicular burglary. No official word.
Insane. Case in point, ICE rearrests Aldo Salazar Bahena, convicted of murder after Stateville refused to honor an ICE detainer. And he's out days before agents find him in Elgin. I think that's what they said, right? Now, this is what happens when ideology outranks public safety.
Yeah, give it to me. No, but I can take it. Oh, I gotta get lower. So much strength, but I stayed up with it. That's the point, right? I hate immigrants. I love Nazis. The fucking fascism is great. The brown people bother me.
Wow. So this comes with the caption: Chicago terrorists practice obstructing ICE. Secretary Noem, now is the time to bring out the LRAD, ADS, SS-ADT. Here's what agents face: taunting, linking arms, daring them to push through. This isn't speech. This is physical interference. And speaking of interference, I know I'm interrupting right now, but you really need to hear this. You know about them spam calls and text messages that you annoyed at getting? Yeah, you want to know why you're getting them? Sit tight, I got you. You see, what's happening is these big tech companies, they're not doing a good job of keeping our data safe. I feel like they're not even trying. Did you know that Bank of America recently had a breach where a vendor mishandled documents exposing customer data like social security numbers? And could you believe that they didn't inform you about this because they felt like it wasn't a good time for them to do it? They waited maybe even a year to inform you. What's also included in that stolen data is full names, addresses, email addresses, your credit card information. And I don't want nobody having that much on me. And this is why I have to bring to your attention the sponsor of today's video, Aura.com. You see, Aura alerts me if my data is ever breached, giving me fast fraud alerts and removes my info from data broker websites to cut down on spam. Aura also offers transaction monitoring, VPN, antivirus protection, parental controls, and identity theft insurance, all in one affordable app. Listen, if my info was ever compromised, I wouldn't even worry about it because I know I got Aura in the back keeping me safe. And this is why I can no longer allow yourself or your family to stay unprotected. So in order to ensure that protection, I'm going to need you to head over to aura.com/kingdomreacts right now, where you can get your first 2 weeks for free. You heard that right. And I'll do you one better. The link will be in the description waiting on you. Now that we've talked about protecting yourself, let's talk about how these leaders failed to protect their community, because officials are siding with this.
This is Governor J.B. Pritzker pictured alongside a peacekeeper 6 days after this photo was taken. Court records claim this man, listed as both Keller and Kellen McMiller, was part of a violent crash and grab on Michigan Avenue that killed a young father-to-be. Chicago police say it was a squad of 7 who shattered the Michigan Avenue storefront of Louis Vuitton and sped off with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of designer goods, killing a father on September 11th. Police say this man, listed as both Keller and Kellen McMiller, pictured here for a prior arrest, was one of the fleeing thieves. Court records show McMiller had outstanding warrants in Cook County, Florida, Wisconsin, and Indiana.
If we can't solve a problem.
Days earlier, McMiller had posed with Governor J.B. Pritzker at an event with peacekeepers. In a statement to ABC7 in response to our email asking about the picture with McMiller, Pritzker's office said in part, "We were extremely troubled to learn that this individual was arrested for his alleged involvement in this serious crime, and we expect them to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law." McMiller is charged with murder, burglary, and fugitive from justice in the deadly crash and grab on Michigan Avenue. Court records reveal an extensive and violent criminal background, including drug charges, domestic battery, armed robbery, and probation violations in Cook County. He was charged with battery against a police officer and resisting arrest in Miami-Dade County last year. A signed warrant indicated McMiller was violating supervision. Governor Pritzker's office included this photo with McMiller, which has since been scrubbed as part of a press release touting the success of the Peacekeepers program in reducing violent crime. The Peacekeepers initiative receives tens of millions of dollars in government funding each year. McMiller was working as what's called a participant in Peacekeepers with the group Public Equity.
We give them a chance to be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem.
Peter Cunningham works with another organization, Chicago Cred, who also receives state funding for the Peacekeepers initiative.
Do you check and see if they have an active criminal record when you bring people in to be participants?
No, we don't. We check to see if they have the relationships that would make them effective in the community, and the data clearly shows that they do.
So to be clear, there's no formal criminal vetting process.
No, we know that many of them are justice involved. If we try to eliminate people who are justice involved, we wouldn't find the people who could actually do this work.
Now, to be clear, McMiller did not work with Chicago Cred, and both Peter Cunningham, with whom we spoke, and Governor Pritzker say they did not know McMiller personally. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office tells the I-Team McMiller is still in the hospital tonight for injuries related to that crash on Michigan Avenue. That's why he's not yet appeared before a judge on those most recent charges.
Right. Again, this all still has to go through the justice system as well.
It sure does.
Meanwhile, Governor J.B. Pritzker smiles for the camera with so-called peacekeepers 6 days later. That man is in custody, thanks to a fatal crash and grab with multiple warrants across states, man. Programs with no formal vetting, taxpayer-funded credibility, street-level consequences.
Mayor Karen Bass announced that Los Angeles will be giving out prepaid credit cards to people who are too scared to go to work because they're afraid of ICE. If that weren't ridiculous enough, she's also claiming this money will not be coming out of the city accounts and instead will come from nonprofits such as Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles. Oh, well, where does that charity organization get its money? Among other avenues, in recent years, this specific charity got about $34 million from California state taxpayers. So people who are afraid to go to work because of ICE are going to effectively get taxpayer money. You know, according to my comment section, I should also be very afraid of ICE. As I have just proven, I'm clearly very afraid of ICE. Please send me money. Mayor Karen Bass announced that...
Yeah, it's not just Illinois. In Los Angeles, you got Mayor Karen Bass out here doing the most. Touts prepaid cards for those too afraid of ICE to work. Routed through NGOs stuffed with public cash. Shame. Policies that reward avoidance over accountability.
We have Kat once again. Kat, what's your last name?
Abu Ghazaleh.
And Kat, you were one of those who got pushed down earlier this morning by ICE agents. Talk to me. That was twice. Talk to me a little bit about where things are right now. That was probably the most tense moment we've seen all morning. Not probably, it was.
Yeah, so the first time that we were accosted, they took a protester inside, and then we have been waiting here to get them out. We saw them come out in chains, were put in a van, and all of us joined arms and did not let the van pass. So ICE came in and tried to drive the car through us. They almost ran someone over. We did not move. We stood strong, and that's when they brought out the pepper balls. That's when they brought out the tear gas. I got shot in the leg like 6.
It's funny when they be talking about like standing strong or we ain't going nowhere, but you watching a video of them getting put down or getting put up. Like
brought out the pepper balls. That's when they brought out the tear gas. I got shot in the leg like 6 times, but that's nothing compared to what some other people experienced. We all got tear gassed. There are canisters on the ground. I was talking to people who have been covered, Ferguson, that covered like all of these different protests that have had so much, excessive use of force, and they were like, I've never seen anything like this. And they took another person in. There was another peaceful protester that was dragged inside.
So there are now 2 protesters who are inside, or
one that's in there, one that's in a van going God knows where.
And one that was just put in the van. That was the van that you all were surrounding, that you all were not allowing out, and that's when things really started to get tense. That was the protester from around 6:30 this morning that was put inside that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the first time a protester has ever been taken in this facility. We have no weapons. We have signs and chants and songs, and they are treating us like it's a war zone.
Kat, quick question, because we've been wondering this. The protester who was taken into custody at one point, do you know their status? Are they just a regular U.S. citizen?
I have no idea for either of them. I have zero idea, and I just want to stress it is on. I don't know where our elected officials are right now, but they should be here, and they need to shut this facility down.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please take care of yourself and do everything that you need to do.
So she basically admits to being a serial troublemaker here. And as Kelly North pointed out, treating us like a war zone. If that were true, she'd be. These people always overinflate. They're like the little boy who cried wolf. Yeah, man. Because in NYC, the optics flip the narrative as well. Mostly white protesters arrested by mostly minority officers while they obstruct ICE. Yeah, reality is greater than talking points.
Brandon Johnson said that law enforcement is a sickness. I've went and watched multiple clips to try to glean some type of clarity to explain why this man would let that phrase come out of his mouth, even in error, and I wasn't able to find it.
The fact of the matter is we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
What Brandon doesn't understand is that when you keep implanting a victim mindset into a population and you tell them that they've been taken from, and the only way they will regain some type of humanity or be able to get back on top is if they also take back. When you implant that in people in mass, Chicago is what you get. That is why you see African Americans overrepresented in crimes such as homicide and robbery in Chicago. They are taking, but they're also being taught to take. Because you have people like Stacey Davis Gates, who should be on a terror watch list, and I stand by that. I think that Stacey Davis Gates is honestly a terrorist, and she is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to Chicago. But when you have her at the helm of the Chicago Teachers Union, and she believes that white people are inherently evil, but when you have people like her who want schools in Chicago to continually remind Black children about racial disparities, the 50% of kids who will attend, because most CPS schools are hovering at around like 40 to 50% absentee rates. The classrooms are half empty most of the time. So the kids who are there are probably ones who can actually process a little bit more information. And what is she doing? What does she want CPS to do? She wants for them to talk about racism. Anybody who was actually related to an officer, speaks to an officer occasionally, you would know that Chicago's not in a good place. It's not. Crime is not down. The only reason Brandon Johnson can even say that murders are down a little bit is because they literally got so incredibly out of control during the pandemic. They reached epic proportions. I think it was almost 800 murders in one of the years during the pandemic. So no, Brandon, it's not down. Your plan is not working. Your violence interrupters are actually being killed in the streets along with everybody else. And they're also still selling drugs. There's only a couple programs in this city that are actually doing a good job. And one of them, Brandon refuses to even acknowledge, and that's Project Hood. Wonderful program. He's doing a great job. I don't even know if he's actually categorized as a violence interruption program, but he actually interrupts violence. He works with people from O Block and teaches them to build. But Brandon Johnson and the terrorist people like Stacey Davis Gates, they don't want to acknowledge him because the person over Project Hood who has New Beginnings Church near O Block, he's not really talking the Democratic talk that they would want him to speak. So they ignore him and act like what he's doing is not working when it is working. It's working. So Brandon Johnson, like I said, I try to figure out what your issue is. I don't know if you're literally the world's best puppet with your arms raised above your head, just shucking around. Or are you actually the sinister element that you seem to be trying to project that you are with your voice raised, yelling and pointing? I'm leaning towards puppet though. I'm leaning towards puppet.
Back home, Christian Maxwell says Chicagoans feel Mayor Brandon Johnson calls law enforcement a sickness while families dodge crime in classrooms empty out. And I think I said she says what Chicagoans, I meant to say she says what Chicagoans feel. My bad. But leadership isn't hashtags, it's results. I mean, mayors block ICE and killers walk free. Illinois doesn't look compassionate. If you ask me, it looks compromised. If you made it to the end of this video, drop enforce the law in the comment section right now. If you've done, with Sanctuary Chaos, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't, to share this video, if you want me to drop some more receipts in the next video, y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.